I would like to start today, first of all, by introducing myself. My name is Cheryl Babin, and I'm a designer of professional learning at the Calgary Regional Consortium. I'm very excited to be here with you today. I'm actually zooming in from Exshaw near Canmore, Alberta. And so as I think about our land acknowledgement, I'll just give you a little scene of what I can see outside the window here. Hopefully the glare in the sun isn't too much and you can see it. Really makes me think about where we are and the importance of the sacred place that we, from which we arrived today within Treaty 7 and the traditional territories of the Niitsitapi of the Blackfoot Confederacy, including the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai nations, the Hari Nakota of Chiniki, Bearspaw, and the Wesley nations, and the Dene of the Tsuut'ina Nation. Southern Alberta is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. As participants gathered here in the heart of this Treaty 7 territory, we acknowledge that we have ongoing responsibilities to protect and honor all of life within our shared reality as treaty people. We always try during our CRC sessions to make intentional connections to the First Peoples principles of learning. We continually want to embrace the Indigenous ways of knowing and doing when considering how we implement curriculum. And so while we're thinking about boards and the purpose of these as one tiny aspect of the big picture of what we're doing as educators, we want to remember that learning ultimately supports the well-being of self, family, community, land, the spirits, and ancestors. And if we can view creating boards today as a way to connect family and community with the learning, I think that we will be heading in the right direction. So here's our plan for today. It's a quick 30-minute session. You'll see here that I've given you access to the slides. It's a bit.ly link, and Take a Bite To is the link to where we are heading for this particular slide deck today. You can also go ahead and link into it using the QR code, and then you can make a copy of it and save it or into your Google Drive. The essence of what we're doing today is where can we find boards? How will we be able to use them? Why would we want to? How do we do this? And then we're going to go forth and start to create our own. That's a lot in 30 minutes, so let's keep going. The first thing that we want to make sure that you and your teammates recognize is that in order to access the board function, you must have teacher access and be logged in to the curriculum.learnalberta.ca. Now, this is also called New Learn Alberta, but you'll see that the link to the curriculum or the word curriculum has replaced the word new in the Learn Alberta site now. So logging in is really important, and many people have gone through the process of logging in, but what you have to do is take a second step where when you log in, you actually have a little caret and a drop-down menu. If it still says gain teacher access, you need to click on that button, go through the process of implementing and plopping in your teacher certification number, and then complete the form to let them know that you are a certified teacher in Alberta. Once you've submitted that information, you'll want to log out and log back in again, and you will be able to access the features within the boards. I'd like to take a little minute to advocate for you to use the Contact Us button at the bottom of the Learn Alberta slide. I've had to reach out a couple times to them, and they have been super helpful. They came back to me right away that day and stayed with me until my problem was solved. So a good support network is there for us. When we get into New Learn Alberta, you'll know that there are multiple ways for multiple minds in terms of how you can access boards. The first way is actually from the homepage of the website. Once you have all of the tiles listed out, you can see that there's a light blue board tile, 3/4 of the way down the screen, and you can access it in that way. In addition, if you go in through this blue tile here, you can access it along the gray menu bar along the side of that. And you'll notice here that there's a little lock button. It should be unlocked if you are logged in, and that will show you that you have access as you go along. I'm going to show you a little bit about the filter feature. Now, this is something I'm going to share with you right now. I'm just going to hide my meeting controls and get us into the New Learn Alberta site here so I can show you the wonderful power of the filter. So what we're going to do is I'll go right into Learn Alberta, and you can get there however you want, either through this home page here. We'll go directly to the board function. And you'll notice here that the first thing that shows up for you are hide filters, clear filters, and a few results. Now, this filter to find what you need is really essential. And you can just use this find boards if you want to. But what I have found is that it's really useful to first consider which of the categories you would like to search within the boards that are available to you. Now, if you select them all, you will have boards that you create, boards that may have been shared with you, those published by Alberta Education, and those published by other teachers. You can also unselect all of those, and you can just specifically look at one aspect, or you can just select from there. It also gives you an opportunity to highlight a particular grade or grade grouping that is of interest. And also you can tag them by subjects. One of the things that I would really recommend is that you consider using the favorites toggle. Now, what happens when you use this favorite toggle is that for any board that you like, and here we're going to really use that heart button as a like, it will collect all of those for you. And so if we unselect all and just click on my boards, this is one of the boards that I'm starting to create that will represent this collection of videos that we're doing right now. But what I want to show you here is that I've also favorited some of the boards that were published by Alberta Education. And these ones, you can see I've selected 3, so I've liked them as they go by. If I turn my favorites off, but still keep published by Alberta Education highlighted, you will see that the 2 that I have liked are still highlighted in pink, and all of the others that are also published by Alberta Education are available to me at this point. And so now I have 64 results listed in my filters. So it is important that you try to play with this a little bit today when you have some time, and you can really think about how you want to target in on what it is you are focusing on. And so that is a little bit about the filter component. You can hide the filters if you just want to browse through, or to give yourself more of a full view once you get in. And you can also clear them all out so you can start from scratch, if you will. You also have these 2 options, 3 options actually, for how you would like to see the boards displayed. This gives you a tile feature where you can recognize all of the Alberta Education boards are in this bright green with the Alberta logo. And the Alberta Regional Consortium is also doing our best to try to create clear labels so that you know that we have built those boards for teachers in support of implementation of new curriculum. You can also go to that list, and you can also sort according to boards that were added recently or those that are alphabetical in that way. Any questions about using the filter? Excuse me, I'll just pause for a moment. Okay, and the next slide I wanted to show you is the heart button. That really helps. And I did mention that a little bit while looking at the boards that you like. As soon as you like them, it will attach them and put them into your favorites for you, which is a great way to save them as you go along. Now I want to come back to the boards that are made for us by Alberta Education. And there's a couple of ways that you can save those if you wanted to explore what's available to you. And so if we come in here, let's go back to the filters. I'm going to go Published by Alberta Education, click in there. And I'm not turning my favorites on so that I have access to all of them. Let's take a look at some of the ones that are produced by Alberta Education. So this one here, Comprehension Mini Unit, a sample overview. Looks like it's an ELAL board focusing on grade 1. When you click on that, you will get this expanded view of the board, which is really quite helpful. There's always an overview description here, a few of the key details. And then as you scroll down, you'll see that there's a curriculum connection and the board is connected to a specific one or more specific learning outcomes. As is the case when you're in the regular curriculum section of the New Learn Alberta, if you hover over this learning outcome, you can see this little eye. And if you click on that eye, it gives you a pop-out or a flyout of this particular learning outcome. When you scroll down, you can see the organizing idea, the guiding question, and then you can see within this particular toggle across this middle row, that when we look at the cusps, the knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures, you will see all of the specific pieces that fall within that learning outcome. And so as I scroll down, you can see that there's quite a lot, a number of cusps that fall within students investigate meaning communicated in texts. If you go to this resource connection, you will see different recommendations for resources that can support. And you may also sometimes find boards listed within here. And you can see that it connects back to that mini unit right there. And so that's the resource that is connected into the board. You can also link or toggle through competency progressions connected to this learning outcome and the literacy progressions as well. And the numeracy. And it's all handy, pulled right in there. Now I'm going back to the board because I want to show you that the boards can be divided into different sections with headings. And this allows you to navigate through in an easy way, but you can also know that those sections are linear in terms of scrolling down. Each of these sections provides a component here where there's notes to teachers, and then I can scooch back up, an overview of the multi-day cross-curricular unit. And so within each of these sections, you will see that there are resources, lesson notes, and ideas, and then they break it down into everything that you might do on day 1. There's an instructional focus, a unit introduction activity, vocabulary, and what you might do through the process of that particular flow of lessons. So this particular board is laid out beautifully and includes lots of depth and detail so that you are feeling comfortable with addressing this particular learning outcome that's been included in the board. So you can see here that this learning outcome, students explain time in relation to cycles. They've pulled out the cusps that relate directly to this component of the lesson, and then information to support the teacher learning through that way. And so if I think that I like this board, I can like it with the heart right here. And now it's added to my favorites, but I can also go to these 3 little dots here. And when I select that, it gives me the option to copy the board. And if I copy it, what happens is, gives me that wondering if I'm sure, and it allows it to take an entire picture of it. And you will see that it's now listed as my board, and it's called Comprehension Mini Unit, but as a copy. And now my name is here as the author of this particular board, rather than Alberta Education. Now, it's not really about me just trying to steal their goodies, but rather this would give me an opportunity to tailor make this board to what I need it to do for my learning and my lesson. And so when I click on this little pencil here, it allows me to get into the background, the navigation, and the design components within this board. So I can add sections, I can resort the contents, I can add in links or other resources that I want to use to supplement or modify this to really make it make sense for my students. And so that's why you might want to make that copy of a board and allow yourself to keep that as your own or to share it out with other colleagues as well. Any questions about that so far? Okay, so that's a little bit about how you can do that. I also wanted to show you that when you are in a board, you also have the option to print it. Now, what this will do is you can select the elements that you would like to print, go through the ones that you want. Do you want to include all of the CUSPs, learning outcomes, and guiding questions? And when you hit the print button, it will download for you as a PDF. I love it that mine just show up right nice and quick for me. And you can see it's quite lengthy. It is 22 pages, but it's very clear and delineates the sections and the all of the content from within that board. So if you are a type of learner that really likes to capture these things, print them out, write all over them, and stick them in your working binder and notes, this is the option that will work best for you. The next thing I wanted to show you, connected as well, is that the Alberta Regional Professional Development Consortia has been working to create some boards for you as well. And so ARPDC is the acronym that represents all of your consortia across the province. And so my hope is that you will like those ones as well. And because you'll see that they link into many different possibilities for you. And we're trying to put in as many resources as possible for you. And so I will just turn on my favorites there. And you can see if I click into published by teachers as well, my colleague Sandra has got a great one here that I hope you'll take a look at. And it's called K-3 Literacy Supports. And basically it shows the connections that it has within that. And this one could have been made into a hyperlink, but you can just copy that link and pop it into your browser. And you will see that it provides you with further resources that will help you compare and understand the Alberta ELAL curriculum. There's some year at a glance documents as well as curriculum progressions. And that's all just within this one little board here that has been posted for you. So there's quite a lot of different things in there for you to check out. We also have the option within boards to share boards within a teaching collaborative grouping. And so when I am here and I'm looking at creating a board, I'm going to unselect these right now and just look at one that I have played with a little bit. Now, this one is not published for everyone yet because I'm just building it, and I wanted to show you a bit about what I can do with it. And so as I'm going through, I can start to, I've posted or pasted in the descriptions of our recordings, and I thought I would put the links to the recordings right in here for you and other colleagues to take a look at. This sharing function here allows me to add an email address of a colleague or a friend that I would like to collaborate with. I think I have too many F's in there, but I'm going to just share it anyway at this point. Oh, and it tells me that this particular user needs to get teacher access on that. So let's just, you'll just have to make sure that when you have that option to log in, and here's how you can check on that. If you just go to your name at the top, there's a little caret there. If there's a note here that says, gain teacher access, you'll want to take those steps and go through there. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Cheryl. I thought I had done that with Season, but perhaps I didn't do it on both. It should just be one within the new Alberta curriculum, correct?
Yeah, it should just be one.
Okay.
And if you have any, sometimes you'll need to go all the way through, and then someone in your administration will approve it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. Well, I'm sorry, Vicki, I'm not sure exactly what happened there.
That's okay. Maybe it's just because It's Wagstavi. There's no F. Maybe try
Yes.
Wagstavi.
That's probably.
Sorry, Cheryl. Wagstavi. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Wagstavi.
Just
There
no
you
F.
are.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
It's the old algorithm.
Yes. Anyways,
Oh,
we're
okay,
going to
still.
move on because we.
Thank you, Cheryl. Sorry about that. Sorry,
No
everybody.
problem. I was trying for you, but you can see
Thank
that
you.
as you share with them, you can definitely edit and you can share them with you. Then you can have two people who can collaborate and create that board together, which is really helpful. And that's really what one of the intentions that Alberta Education had for us in this context. Okay. So I'm just going to. Now, why do we need to be intentional about learning this? And one thing that you'll notice is that within the boards, one of the best features I think that you will find is that there isn't a real effort to connect to the outcomes. And so if we go to this sample one on character perspectives, one of the things that I think is really a benefit is that it highlights a specific learning outcome as well as the cusps, and it can give you different options for materials and references and considerations for differentiation, as this includes here. And then there's a spot to share your ideas. Now, as we're learning new curriculum, it's one thing to sort of start with all of the great work that you're already doing, and please continue to know that you are doing great work and that those are the right answers for students. But as we become more familiar with the curriculum, we will know that by intentionally linking some of our learning experiences and assessments to the learning outcomes, it will help us to really be mindful and intentional about assessing the data that we need and want to reveal from students about a particular learning outcome. And so by being able to tag those outcomes into a board, it's really useful to do that as well. Now, the other thing is that you can link multiple subject areas into a particular unit. And so I'm going to show you another one. This comprehension unit for a grade 5, you will see that there are subjects in here. There's this one about comprehension strategies. This one is coming from the physical education and wellness curriculum. So it doesn't all have to be in one subject. You can pull learning outcomes from multiple disciplines, which, as we know, as elementary teachers, if we don't approach our design from a transdisciplinary lens, we're definitely going to run out of time, right? So we want to be able to pull those pieces in to make meaning and make them make sense as we're going along. So I really like the benefit of being able to support boards and the use of transdisciplinary outcomes from multiple subjects. When we're ready to make your own board, and I kind of have popped into that section already, is you can just start up here with the blue button to create your own board. And at first, when you begin, it is all private and nobody has to see anything. So you do have a space where you can play and know that you're not going to make any mistakes. And so there's a few certain features that you want to start out with. You can include details that you want. You can color code and create a pattern with your board. You can also, you will want to add grades that you're thinking specifically of, and you can add different subjects as you go. And then in this part here for the sections, you will see that it has one section already. So if I click on that section header, which I can rename, maybe I'm going to call this my learning launch. In this section, then I can now add anything that I want. So I can add a learning outcome, and it allows me to go into my drama. Well, I'm going to go to ELAL actually, and let's put in, then we'll go to grades. I think this was a grade 3 that I selected. And I can now choose this particular learning outcome just by selecting it and adding it into my section. So now when I use this little arrow, you can see that this particular learning outcome has been added. When I go back to that section, you can also tag in lesson notes, private notes, and this one here allows you to look through the resources that are provided within the Learn Alberta platform. And so if we look here and we want to search into the resource section, and now I can see that we have 3 tiers of vocabulary, and I would like to associate this resource with the learning outcome of students analyzing new words and morphemes to enhance vocabulary. Now within this section, maybe I want to type out a lesson note, and this is where I can talk about how I'm going to pull those learning experiences together. So you can see that there's lots of opportunities for you to fine tune and to really make this your own. When you are ready, you want to keep saving it as you go so that you have, it doesn't save automatically. It's not Googleified in that way quite yet. But in terms of sharing, you can toggle through here to allow a viewer to collaborate or to just view and just to see what it looks like so they're not changing it. If you do decide to publish something onto the main board, it will become visible to all other board users. When you choose that, you might like to make sure that they are just viewing it as well. Okay, so there's a lot of ways that you can play and create this board. And I think that it's a recent addition that you can publish it for everyone to see, which is great because if we unselect these and turn off favorites, if you just go to published by teachers, and let's say you're teaching grade 2, for example, you can see that already there are several boards available for, here's one by a teacher who was looking at some physical education and wellness strategies. And here is a French immersion one that is connected to math. So there's really quite a lot of potential for you to be able to play and use the nuances of boards as you go through. One of the things that you can also do, I mentioned that you can go through and choose resources from within Learn Alberta, but you can also tag in your own. Here is an example of some of the resources that I found while looking for connections to a particular learning outcome around financial literacy. So here's the title of one of the mathology books that go along with the resources. And if you look at your speaker notes on this slide deck, you can see that it will take you right to a link. Now this is located within the Learn Alberta resource as well. And here you can toggle through the book and you can have it read to students if you want to. And so this is a resource that's talking all about arrays and running this small business. This video here is a collection of videos about financial literacy for elementary students. So I was just pulling a few together to show you that within one design on a board, rather than having all of these loose links and remembering where they are, you can store them all in one place, and you can share those with your teacher colleagues or with all of us out in the world. So as I try to wrap up and allow you to get back to the busy day that you have working with your students and juggling all that you juggle, for those of you that are catching us on the recording, thank you for your time. And those of you that joined me today live, please reach out at any time. Bring your friends to the next session. We're running these every Tuesday. And if it doesn't work for you to come, you can grab the recording and watch it on your own time. I will just stop my share so that I can see you here. And I thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope that was useful. Are there any questions before we log off? Have a great day, everyone.